Um, רק אם יהיה European Union. ברור שננצח.
Good afternoon. I need someone to join the Zoom, please. Just for a minute so I can spotlight the Is somebody joining?
Yes, there are.
I'm in the Zoom.
Sorry. Sorry.
Somebody joined the Zoom yet?
I'm gonna do it.
Okay, just for a moment. I need to spotlight the camera. That's it.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay. That's it. We can start. Good afternoon, everyone. This is our meeting after a while, and I just want to remind you that next week again we don't going to have a meeting because of Yom Ha'atzmaut. Okay. I'm going to speak today about a new subject, which is called leak analysis. A subject that relates to the way that we can use data. I'm going to start by introducing first the concept of link analysis. Then I'm going to focus on social network analysis, which of course is relying on link analysis. And then I'm going to continue what I started last meeting, speaking about cyber influence operation, which is the example that I'm using to explain this, and also text analysis. And at the end, I'm going to explain how we can use both text analysis and link analysis and maybe other techniques in order to try to fight influence operation. The issue of link analysis is based on graphs or networks. And networks basically are nodes or vertices that are joined together with edges or links. There are differences between edges or links, but I'm not going to get into them. And this is the common way to display a network of connections. There are several special networks. I'm going just to demonstrate two of them. For example, this is called a star network, and the reason is quite obvious. There is a node in the center and everybody else just joined to it. And this is called a clique, which is a network that every node is connected to all other nodes. And there are, of course, other type of special networks. I'll give you first a very quick example for what networks are used for. And let's say that we are now, would like to investigate a crime, in this case, a murder of a woman. And the possibility is that somebody that didn't know her just murdered her. But usually this is not the case. Most murders, especially of women, are happen to be by somebody they knew. So what we can do in order to start our investigation is to use the star network. In this case, this is going to be the murdered woman, and all her first degree relatives and friends are going to appear connected to her. So this is a very simple and quick example of what networks analysis can be used for. Let's look at another possibility. Now we have a different crime. This time we are talking about a crime scene, which is a robbery, and two people run away from it. One of them resembles Bill. Bill is well known to the police. The other, there are testimonies that point on Bob, and which is Bill's partner, but Bob does not have a record, and this is odd. So our task is to try to understand how to connect between Bill and Bob. If we will be able to establish a connection between them, this will strengthen, of course, the testimonies that we already got. So we have in this case two nodes. One of them is Bob, the other is Bill. Let's try to see if we can connect them. And in network analysis, this is called to find a path between those two nodes. So we know that Bob has a sister in this case called Anne. He's a brother of Anne. We know that Anne is married to Joe. And we also know that Joe and Bill are good friends. So this way we found a path between Bob and Bill. So we established a connection between them. Okay? How can we tell this? This we can get from the registry office. Also this. Okay? This probably is something that is known to the police. Okay? Questions about this? So these are very simple example of how networks can be used. There are many applications for link analysis. And I was asked again, I'm going to explain again, the differences between techniques and applications. Okay, techniques are technologies. Like link analysis is a technology, classification is a technology, application is what are you doing with it? What is your goal? If you know to answer the question, what is my goal? Then you have an application, okay? So analyzing social network analysis is an application. Probably there is a further application, for instance, to find new friends. Viral marketing and advertising are application of link analysis because it is possible to analyze connections and to use them for both viral marketing and advertising. Link analysis is also heavily used in text analysis. Different application of text analysis also use link analysis. There are many applications in biology and health. I'm going to give you one example later on. And everything that relates to communication networks, of course, are networks. So link analysis, algorithms, and techniques are used heavily in everything that relates to communication, whatever type of communication it is. Questions still now? There are also other applications, crime and counterterrorism. I'm going to give you one example for this also later on. Cyber protection also is enabled by several types of link analysis. First of all, networks or communication networks and IT networks are networks. So there are algorithms that can be used. And I'm going to focus later on in this session how you can try to counter cyber influence operation using also link analysis combined with text analysis. Okay. Where can I find links? So nowadays, because of the cyber, it's very easy to do it. Again, as I told you before about images and text, the same thing happens also for links. Social networks are a very good source for links between people, either Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. There are many websites nowadays for genealogy. People are building their family tree on them, so I can find more and more links between people. There are conferences sites. All those sites include links between people and organization, between people and people. And of course, I can go to the official sites like the resident registration or official record of the police, other security, etc., etc. Okay, there are many, many other sources for links, of course. It all started, and in this case, it's very easy to say when. Usually in mathematics, we don't know exactly when everything was started, but in this case, we know exactly who invented this field and when. And this is Euler. Euler was a very brilliant mathematician. And he invented this whole thing of link analysis or network analysis in 1736, trying to solve a specific question, which is called the bridges on Königsberg, 7 bridges of Königsberg. Nowadays, it's Kaliningrad, okay? And the people lived in Königsberg at the time probably were quite bored, and they tried to solve a problem. And the problem was, can I start somewhere in the city and cross the 7 bridges, okay, without repeating on walking on the same bridge again and again and again, okay? This is the question. Now, this is what we call today, can I draw a graph in one pen stroke? This is exactly this question. And Euler was the first one to realize this. So he said, I can represent or model this question by graph. Okay? So these nodes represent the different regions of the city. This is this region, this is that, this is that, and this is that. And the edges are the bridges. Okay? So now we say, if this is the very good representation of this problem, all we have to do now is try to see if we can draw this in one pen stroke. And the answer, of course, is no. Okay? Now, there is a very nice proof for this, mathematical proof for this, which is very easy. It's very elegant. It's very easy to understand, even if you don't have any mathematical background, because it goes like this. Euler said, in order to be able to draw a drawing in one pen stroke, I need that it will obey one of these two rules. One be every node has an even number of connection. Okay, here we don't see. All of them have odd number of connection. 3 and 5 are odd numbers. Okay, or another possibility is that all nodes have even number of connection beside two of them. Let me explain to you very easily why. Let's say that I would like to draw this in one stroke. Okay?
No.
If you have another one, I'll be happy. The answer, of course, is no, because I have here 3, 3, 3, 3, and 4. Okay? All I have to do is add this, and now I have 4, 4, 4, 3, 3. So only two nodes has odd number of links. All the rest have even number. Why is this? Because if you need to cross this node, you need to enter and to exit. This is an even number, okay? Besides, where you started, you are not going to go back here, and where you end, you are not going to go again, okay? So either everything is even, and you enter and exit, or you have only and only two nodes with odd number, one you start from and the one you end. That's it. So Euler explained this and proved this mathematically in a very strict manner, but this is the basic idea of how you can prove it, okay? And if you look again here, of course, this cannot be done. Okay, questions? There are many, many types of useful networks in our field. One famous type of network is called small world networks. Small world networks can be found almost everywhere in many, many real world problems, websites, electric power grids, brain neurons, airport networks, etc., etc., etc. And the idea is that most nodes in this type of networks are not necessarily adjacent to one another, but quite easy to reach from one to another by a path, a very short path. From this comes the notion of, probably you heard about, the 6 degrees of separation between each person in the world. Of course, this is wrong. This is not the case. But nowadays, when we have of course, social networks, then we can find many short passes between people. This notion comes from one experience that was done in the 60s, sending letters, physical letters, across the US and counting how many hops those letters made. But this was not a really a strict organized experiment, so you can not learn anything from it besides the very nice idea. But you can find a connection between very short passes between people, because there are many people in our world that are very famous and very known. And if you know one of them, then this guy will short your passes to everybody else. These nodes are called hubs. And the same thing, if we look for a moment, airport networks, Atlanta, if I recall, is one of the biggest airports in the US. So this is a small world network because so many flights comes in and out from Atlanta. So you can find very short passes between everywhere to everywhere if you just go to Atlanta. Okay. So because you have those hubs, you can find this small world network. A very nice illustration for this phenomena is what is called the Erdos number. Erdos is a Hungarian Jewish mathematician that lived, as you can see, in the previous century. Because he published so many articles, he usually didn't stay in one place for a long while. He was just moving from a place to a place, he was quite a weird guy. He was knocking on the door of somebody. Hi, here I am. Let's write an article, something like this. So he wrote many, many articles. So people started to build a network, which is called the collaborative distance between Erdos and any other people in the world. Okay? So if you have Erdos, of course, is 0 distance. If you have written a paper with Erdos, you have 1 distance. If you wrote a paper with a person that wrote a paper with Erdos, you have 2, etc., etc. Okay, so everybody try to look out what is his Erdos number. Mine is 4, by the way. There is a very nice instance of network which is the same, which is called Kevin-Bacon number, because Kevin-Bacon number participate in so many films. So again, people build a network, which also, again, it's a very small, small world network around Kevin-Bacon. Interestingly, there are 2 people that have very low Erdos number and very low Kevin-Bacon number. If you're interested, look at it on Wikipedia. Okay, questions? Let me give you an example of what does it mean to analyze paths on a network. And a very nice way to illustrate this is by using this English dictionary database, which include all the words in English, which have either 4 or 5 letters. So if I'm going to use this database, it's very fine to see that the distance between love and hate is quite small. You just need to go to home, have, and hate. How can I measure those distances? Whenever I'm changing 1 letter, I'm putting a link. Okay? So from love, I change L with H, I go to home, and here I change O with A, so I have, and here I change 1 letter again, and I have hate. Okay? Another way to look for differences is to look the differences between black and white. Again, okay? Now note that if I draw this network like this is called the circular way. I have all the links there, but it's quite difficult to see what is the distance in this representation. It is much more easier to do it if I just simply draw it like this. Okay? So every word that has 1 distance from black is here, and here I can just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the shortest path in this case is 7. And as you can see, there are many, many, many paths. Okay, I can go from black, to lace, to late, to rate, to white, and to white. Okay? Of course, this is just for fun. It's just a way to explain to you the notion of finding paths. Questions? There are hundreds of algorithms, useful algorithms in the world of link analysis. I'm going to show you a few more, just to give you the taste of the power of this field. This is finding the shortest path, but in this case, we also put weights on the links. Consider this as node to represent cities, and I'm looking for the shortened distance between the city A and the city A. If I just going to count the hops, then the shortest path is here, 1, 2, 3. But if I have also distances in miles, kilometers, whatever, from the cities, note that this is the shortest path, because I have here 2, 5, 9, 20, 4, 14, 25. Okay, so finding shortest path not necessarily mean just counting the hops. It could be also if you have weights, in this case, distance, you can find the shortest path like this. Okay. Again, this is very useful algorithm when you design a network, whatever network that you would like to do, if you would like to make it very efficient. Okay, people always looking for the shortest passes. Another way to look at it is not that it's described but distances, but in this case we are talking about flow. This is a flow network. In this case, think of it as pipes, water, for instance, and there is some kind of capacity or volume that you can send from a node to another node. And the question here is, what is the maximum flow I can send from one point to another point? I'll explain this in a minute, thinking about money, but you can consider it also thinking about network capacity, okay? About volume of network, and it's exactly the same. So I would like to know how much water I can send from the source to the target, okay? So I have a capacity of 5 here. I can send 5 here and 10 here. Okay. However, if I'm going to send 10 units here, I cannot go all the way to here because I have almost 5. Okay, this is 15. However, I notice that I can send 10 to here, 5 to here, 5 to there. And since I have only 5 here, 5 from here, I have 10, I can reach the destination. Okay, so this time I'm looking about the flow, the capacity that I can send from one point to another point, and this is called a flow network. Okay? Questions? Okay, that's for algorithms about passes and flows. Now let's consider another question that people would like to ask about networks. And in this case, what is the centrality of a node, a specific node in a network? There are different measurements for this. There are different indices. I'm going to describe to you only 3 of them, which are the most popular one. The fifth degree is called the centrality. The fifth centrality index is called degree centrality, which is simple, the number of links of a node. Now, we can think of it as in degree or out degree. In this case, we don't have arrows, so we can go both ways. But as I said, there are links and there are edges. So sometimes if we are speaking about directed links, we can speak about going out and coming in, okay? So there is in degree. In many cases, in degree is often interpreted as a form of popularity, meaning like following somebody in Twitter. And out degree, sociability. I am a friend of, when we are going to speak about social networks. In this case, it's very easy to understand if we are not going to ignore the incoming or outgoing, that the degree here is 1, 1, 2, 2, and 4. So this is obviously the most centric node in this network. Very simple network. Okay? Questions? Just counting the degrees till now. Now we are going to speak about another measurement, which is called the betweenness. Betweenness definition is the number of shortest paths in a connected graph, assuming the graph is connected. And it means that for every pair of vertices, there exists at least one shortest path. We look for it, and then we count how many of these should go through the node that we are now checking. So again, it's very easy to see that I can go directly from here to there, Okay, but from everywhere else, I need to go to this node, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And there is a fifth one, which I just need for now, okay? For here, okay? So I need to go from all other nodes, I must cross this node. So this is its degree, its measurement of centrality between us is 5. Okay? This means that this node is a bridge. If I'm going to raise it, the network is going to be harmed. Okay? I'm going to cut it. This is why it's called between us. We'll see an example for this in a few minutes. The third one, which I'm going to explain, is called closeness. And this is the length of the shortest path between a node and all other nodes in a graph. Sometimes people took the average. Never mind, I'm going to use now the count itself. And the idea is that the more central a node is, it is closer, meaning its count is, in this case, lower. Okay, let's see. From here, if I would like to visit any other node, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Okay, let's check this one. 1, 2 to here, 2 to here, 2 to here, 7. Okay, this only 6 because of this line. Okay, 2, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this node is the most close one to all other in this very, very simple network. Okay, so for instance, this is a very nice example I found on the internet. Someone took a network of real people. This is again a network from some kind of a social network. Nodes represent here people that are friends of each other. And as you can see, it may be, and I'm going to show you more, that they are not the same. So here, whenever you are more red or hotter, it means that your degree is higher. Okay? So the nodes with the higher degree of centrality are those. But the betweenness, it's this one. If you take this out, you're going to cause everybody to make a longer pass. And from closeness, as you can see, the middle is more close to all others, of course, as those in the perimeter. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily need to be the same node, which is going to be centered in all of those indices. And I'm going to speak about what does it mean, each of them, in few minutes. Questions till now? Let's see something in action, and in this case in biology. This is a network of genes. Okay, those are genes, and each of these links represent that there is some kind of relation between those two genes. I'm concentrating here just on one gene, which is called ACE2. It's a very important one. This was the one that the COVID virus used in order to get into our body cells. So if I would like to explore this gene, just a moment. And this is now, of course, live. I can pick ACE2. I'm going to search. It's going to ask me about the organism. Homo sapiens is us. Okay, so let's continue with this. And here I get the gene that are connected to ACE2. Now, they have different colors because each of them has different type of meaning, of semantics. A neighborhood in the genome, gene fusion, co-expression, meaning they appear together in many articles discussing them, etc., etc. I'm not going to speak about biology here, but it's a live network. I can look for differences here. I can ask, please add me more genes that may be useful here. And then I get larger network. And now I can try to analyze it in different way. Okay, I see the number of nodes, etc., etc. I can see a lot of information about them. I can cluster this. Again, clustering also works on this type of data. Let's try to do k-means with rate pre-cluster and apply. So it told me that almost all genes that I have now are one big happy cluster. This is different and this is different. Now I can look at them and consider why. Okay? So this is just a tool for biologists. I'm using it when I'm doing biology. Okay. Another example is a very nice one from about 20 years ago. There was a guy, Valdis Krebs, that published a research paper, very small research paper. He took news papers or articles discussing the terrorists from the 9/11. He took articles from New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, and the Los Angeles Times, and just count how many times those people appear in the same article, or either they appear in the same article, and just published a network of his finding. So this is, I'm not going to go over, of course, everything we did. This is the network we got, and these are the connection between, those are the planes. This is the flight from, this is the flight of the Pentagon, and the green one and the pink one are the one that crash in the twins, okay? And it noticed that those groups are looked combined, okay? You can just see that the planes are spreaded. This is Muhammad Atta, which was, of course, the leader of everything. And then he added more links. He explained how, just by looking for more newspapers, so the network is much larger, not only the 90s terrorists that were on the plane, but many, many others. And it looked on the degree centrality, between centrality, and closeness centrality of the network that he saw. So, of course, Muhammad Atta, which was the leader, get the higher score at everything. I think it's averaging here, because this is why it's below 1, okay? So Muhammad Atta is the most famous, and of course, the most evident that he is the center of this network of terrorism. But let's look, for instance, for Ziad Jarrah. So Ziad Jarrah is here. His degree is quite high, okay? But he's not as close as in degree. As you can see, he's ranked 2 ranks below. And if we are looking on betweenness, then I think he's here. Okay. Yes.
How do you like collect this and make sure that they're only like it's just from mainstream newspapers? They just these names.
Just articles from the newspaper I mentioned.
Then I was like, Marie Giuliani or like President Bush, not one of the names there.
No, it's after the crash.
Like, did he clean all the names that aren't terrorist names? Like, how does
No. I think he took every name that appeared together. Why not you see George Bush? I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Maybe, I don't know. I explain exactly how he collected the information. Probably he took only Muslim names. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. Never mind. But the whole idea is, for you, is to see that there is a meaning for these networks. And it happens to be that you can see here very obviously that Muhammad Atta is, of course, here in the center. Okay, this betweenness is high because he was the one that kept the connection between those and this. If you took it there are some similarities between the plots of episode 4 in this series and also to the Force Awakens. Okay, and the question was, does it translate to similarity in the social network of the new film? So, of course, the fans of those series, one of them, don't see the map. In a moment, we'll see. A link here is both speak within the same scene, the link with frequency of co-occurrence in the scene, node size, the number of scenes overall that the character is speaking. So we see here R2D2, C3PO, etc., etc. Again, it's a live network. Here you just can move it around for fun, nothing more in this case. Okay, but there is again a very long explanation of what exactly was done in this type of analysis. It contains spoilers, so I'm not going to go over. Okay. So these are a few examples that I can show you in class, but there are plenty of real-world application for this. The last one which I'm going to explain is took from the world of the web, and this is called the PageRank. PageRank is basically one of the things that made Google Google, and the algorithm is the one that decides in your search results which website is going to be higher. Okay, so the idea here that you rank all websites. In this case, nodes stands for websites. And you have here those links, which are directed links in this case, are pointing from a website to another website. Okay. So the rank value indicates an importance of a particular node, and it depends on the number and PageRank metric of a page. Okay. So this link is the higher. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 links direct to it. So its degree is 7, but it's not like this. It has very high websites, high degree websites, high ranked websites that point it. Okay. For instance, you can notice that there is only one link from here to there, and there is only one link from here to there. But this is a link from lower rank, and this is linked from the big one, the big whale. So if you are linked from a very important website, probably you are more interesting. This is the idea. Okay. So although both here and here we see 1 degree, this is coming from the big whale. This is going to get higher rank. Okay. So if you would like your websites to appear higher in the results of Google, you need to put links for it in very popular websites that will link to your website, and this way you are going to get higher. Okay, so this is the again, it's another algorithm of link analysis. Questions? Okay, let's stop here. We'll start again at 4:15.
היי. שלחתי לך מייל על ה... research question.
כן, רגע, אני
Especially after this, I'm going after figure out. Out. Right. $9, right? We see those. Like, what depends on you want. Maybe you can get pretty easy. The case or just so toxic, what the cost of toxic. It's not girls. It's not funny. They're automatic. I like the only things I've heard so many people say. Oh, it's like actually, I've only met like real life people. Not even what kind of other people. Like, no. Yes, DC met one there, and they're like a certain type. Like they come from small, like kind of town. They act like they're shit. They work in politics. I mean, they just like create drama. And I think I'll be talking about a lot. I don't know how to do those. Yeah, like it looks cool. Again, like there's I've been there some time, or like get back to college. Like, no, oh, before that. I played this wood, I didn't get into. So matter looks like shop. That's a hobby. Sexy. Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, it kind of is. First expensive. Everything. There are no that ones. It's like insane. I was with friend. Similar, similar. He did his undergrad, saved, and reading with his parents. Like he does his undergrad. It's well. Yeah. It's like they'll pay for his postgrad wherever he goes. Like say went to like New York, he's paying content, like Georgetown. That's too possible. I think finally, I mean, I wouldn't go to any. It's like that Brandeis on University and Maryland or the other groups. The other so there. Yeah, Columbia's. Columbia also, but they're like you go to Columbia. I feel like what happens when you go to Columbia and like that sucks. Like it's like a thing, and now it's like actually a thing. Now it's like that. So yeah, that's that. Four was like. I wonder if they'll still have the like that was dual career of television person. I have friends who did it. It's to do 2 years here and then 2 years there. And you got like two bachelor, you got one bachelor. You can't get rid of like these institutions. Like, they just don't. You'll see, but like I think they just don't. They're gonna open like a massive. They're also connected to like conservative school and then also the girls' college. There's too many ways. Like it's hard to protest things. Yeah. Also, I mean, why like high school like just started or like a thing of year can't think really or have anything. What is the other one? The one like give a time. Like you know, probably not. Yeah, tomorrow yeah. It's it's a double-edged sword because you get all the issues around it. But it's like a lot. Yeah, it's a scam anyway. But as well, I think there's gonna be a lot of holy pots and show. The more this is already speech. But if you're a researcher, if you want to get published, you want to get invited to the conference. So But if you're all hard to yeah. Yeah. But also, I know that just like, okay. It's like we image nowhere. It's always the instrument thing. Which anything. Like, I love my name. That's all I. Was you checking on it? Or one of them to like. Welcome, like, it was really helpful. The Indian or it's interesting. There is something. Yeah, I think. They're wild, but they don't do shit. Oh, just.
עכשיו הוא מחבב אותם שעושה קלורה, כן, כן. לא נעלב.
Okay. Now I'm going to speak about social networks. Basically, social networks are networks that are combined only from people and friends. Again, this is just a very nice example I found on the internet. We have here 800 vertices, people. They have about 10K edges. And this guy decided to look for between the centrality. And as you can see, again, with color and size of the node, which is represented, which are the most centered links, nodes in this network. Again, you can notice that not necessarily centrality means being in the center of the network, because of course I can draw it in many ways. But you can see here that this node has higher centrality because again, it is connected many other nodes here, same here. Okay. Investigating social analysis network can give you several ideas about what is going on. You can find friends and acquaintances and try to look for people as who knows who. As for instance, for investigate crime, the very simple example I showed you before, connecting between Bob and Bill. You can look at business networks and to identify relation between workers of companies and companies themselves, etc. It's very useful when we speak about disease transmission, about viral infection, for instance. Basically, in the COVID-19, what people try to do is look for infection networks and basically just building those type of networks and circulation of networks and rumors, etc., which I'm going to touch later on when I'm going to speak about influence operations. Again, a very quick and simple example, which is based on a real document that was published by the UK police. And there is a paper that was tried to explain to policemen how to use network analysis in order to analyze gangs, okay? And the idea is to look, for instance, who is peripheral to the network and who is central. For instance, if we are going to look for high degree centrality, it means that this criminal is well connected to a lot of other criminals, okay? However, if you are looking for what is called a gatekeeper is a person that is used to be in between two parts of gangs that will not know from each other, okay? So he is going to have high between centrality, because if we arrest him, we are going to take down the network and disjoin it, okay? However, a low degree, because usually those people, a gatekeeper, is somebody that has some connection to one part of the gang, one connection to the other part of the gang, and that's it, because of security, okay? So if you would like to take down this guy, okay, and arrest him, you are going to disjoin this network, and it's very useful. Okay? Again, very simple example. It's a published document. You can look for it if you are interested. Now I'm going to show you, in order to wrap everything together, in the artificial example, which is coming from, I'm using for drawing a nice tool, which is called the Pajek. Pajek is spider in Slovenian, the only word I know in Slovenia. And it's a very nice free tool that you can use to draw and to analyze networks. There are many others, but this is the one that I found. Okay, so they have a very nice example of a small high-tech firm, and the links between people are the friendship ties. And all employees were asked, who do you consider to be a personal friend? And they answered. 3 employees, Frank, Quincy, and York, didn't answer, the sociopath ones. And we will try to analyze this network in several different ways, so I can show you the differences in those things. So this is the network of this company. Again, York, Quincy, and Frank didn't answer, so we don't know anything about them. So they are isolated, okay? Now I draw this network in a way that it's called spring display, like forces. So if you are more connected, you appear in the middle. If you have connection, then like forces, you are going to push your connection. And if you don't have many connection, you are going to throw on to the sides, okay? And I colored the nodes by something which is called core. The definition of core is a sub-network of given network where each vertex has at least k neighbors in the same core, meaning open or closed gangs, okay? So if you look at the purple ones, all of them has connection or ties to each other. This is a very small gang, okay? And then you can see the orange one, etc., etc., etc. So basically, looking at this, you can in one look, understand who is the more friendly people who are the more friendly people in this company. Now, if I would like to look at the cores, which are basically the circles of popularity in this network, I can draw it just simply the same thing, but draw it differently, linearly, as I did with the words. So there is the gang Ken, Tom, Rick, Chris, and Jerry, and you, which are the most popular people. They know each other. They have very strong ties with them. Then, like the onion, you have the next layer, which is Bob, then etc., etc., etc. And then don't really know many people. Okay, and of course, those that didn't answer after the end. Okay, so again, by just looking, you can understand a lot about the dynamics in this company just by looking at this very, very simple network. If we look about the centrality measurement, so if we think about degree, now I'm using the same colors as before for the core, okay? But I now use the size to display the rank in centrality. So Chris has the highest number of degrees, okay? And of course, you can see the rest. But if I look at betweenness, notice that here, although is not part of the core, he has a very high betweenness centrality. Why? Because again, he is a connection from this part of the network. So he's not one of the inner circle of the popular people, but he is the one that connects between them to the rest of the company. So his betweenness centrality is higher. And you can see that Ken and you are part of the inner circle, but they have nothing to do with betweenness. Okay, if they go out for the company, nobody will really notice. Questions? And if I'm going to look at closeness, because it's quite small network and quite interconnected, we don't see much differences in the closeness here. Okay, basically all of them has the same degree. And we only, of course, call the parameter as lawyer, and of course, those who didn't answer and nothing. Okay. So the whole idea in those type of measurement is depending on your question, you can try to look at the different measurement and try to analyze your question. Now, does centrality mean importance in network of people? Well, the answer is no, because does the company as CEO has many connections with its employees? Usually, in most companies that I know, no. Organizations are hierarchical and the CEO doesn't know all the employees. Usually, the CEO secretary will have many more connection and people that he or she knows than the CEO. Okay. Another example is, for instance, LinkedIn. Famous people like Bill Gates, of course, has many connections and followers. So maybe it means important people, but headhunters and people that look for are part of this industry also will have very high degree, plenty of connection, because this is their work. Doesn't say anything about their importance. Okay? Questions? Another way to analyze social networks is to try to analyze and to get information about a specific people by his or her connections. The idea goes like this: tell me who your friends are, and I will tell you who you are. Okay? So if you have many connections with people that have some specific characterization, either political or sexual preferences or professional or even terrorist networks, then it says a lot about you. Okay? And we are going to go back to this and we are going to speak about privacy. So even if you try to hide some characteristic of your personality, but your network say something about you, it's not going to work. Okay? However, it might be misleading because when ISIS, for instance, was still around, there were very many networks or forums, people speaking or could be considered part of ISIS. It happens to be that many of them were basically journalists or researchers researching ISIS. So they were not part of ISIS, but they have many ISIS connections because they did research. Another joke was that most all of them were intelligence officers of different countries looking for ISIS people. So although you may have many ISIS connections, it doesn't mean necessarily that you are part of ISIS. Another way to go is to look for missing links. And I'm going to give you very, very simple examples for this. This is a very small network. And I noticed that Bob and Alice has many shared or joint connections. So maybe there is some link between Alice and Bob because they know many people the same area, okay? So maybe for some reason, Alice and Bob try to keep their connection hidden, or maybe they don't want to be connected anymore, okay? Another way to look at it is that I see that Alice knows Bob, and also they have many shared friends. And now I see that Bob is knowing Eve, and I'm interested to know, does Alice know her? Okay? So I can try to think that maybe yes. Well, this is artificial, but it does work in many cases. That if you know that there is a common social network between two peoples, then probably Alice also knows him, although she doesn't have a connection with her. Questions? The last thing that I'm going to speak related to this is link semantics. Although there are connections which represent friendship or other social contexts or family, not necessarily it means that you really know everyone. Nowadays, if you have a friend on social networks, not necessarily you know this guy or girl. Links may have different semantics of strengths. I go back to the network I connected between Bill and Bob. Usually, not necessarily always, but usually brothers or marriage is a more powerful connection than just being a friend. Not necessarily, but again, you can consider it. Okay, so this is for that. Now I'm going to go back to the issue of cyber influence operations. Just a quick reminder, influence operations are organized attempts to achieve a specific effect by affecting the decision-making or beliefs and opinion of a target, some target audience. And also I spoke about fake news, which are deliberate disinformation or hoaxes spread via traditional news media or social media. Usually there are messages that fits an existing, even of school narrative. There is some kind of a narrative, and those fake news usually are connected to it, and they spread like viruses, okay? And nowadays, it's not only this. I'm going to speak a bit also on other fields that relates to it. in recent years, it's quite easy to produce fake photographs and videos. This is called deepfake, and I'm going to show you an example in a minute. It's very easy nowadays to generate realistic profiles of people. This lady was never born, just fake, and I'm going to show you more of this later in this course. And nowadays it's very easy to take older people and just produce how did they look when they were young, although it might be fake totally. And let's see an example of deepfake.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time, even if they would never say those things. So, for instance, they could have me say things like, I don't know, Killmonger was right, or Ben Carson is in the sunken place, or, how about this, simply, President Trump is a total and complete dipshit. Now, you see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele. This is a dangerous time. Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet. That's a time when we need to rely on trusted news sources. It may sound basic, but how we move forward in the age of information is going to be the difference between whether we survive or whether we become some kind of fucked up dystopia. Thank you, and stay woke, bitches.
Okay, so this is a very nice example of deepfake. There are several types of
We're entering an era
here. Basically, first there is a way to forge or voices, the voice of President Obama in this case. There is a technology for moving the lips, which is quite an ancient technology that is around for about 40 years, even more. It was used for phones for deaf, so they can read lips. And also there is a technology to synthesize images and videos, as we saw, just using side by side. You can synthesize one face on another people. Okay? So this is deepfake. I'm going to get back to this later on. Now you can also generate fake speeches. And this is before ChatGPT. A group that calls CTRL use an AI-powered system, a generated system, to write text that in the same style as its training data. So Lawsuit.org took this and used this algorithm to create what they call the robot Trump. It's a robot that tried to produce faked speeches of Trump. Okay, they challenge 1,000 people to tell the difference between paragraphs written by the robot Trump model and things that the president had actually said or written. And in a surprise result, they guessed wrong 60% of the time. People didn't or weren't able to distinguish between the fake and the reality. Okay, now this was done 4 or 5 years ago. Nowadays it is much better. The research note that this is maybe the case, and now a quote: Trump's rambling style probably makes differentiating between real and fake more difficult than it would be for a more talented speaker. They say, I don't know, but the reality is that you can take speeches, if you have enough speeches of any speaker, probably you will get the same result. You can fool people very, very easily using this type of technology of text generation. Okay, let's talk now about influence operation. How would you conduct an influence operation? First, you need to open fake social media accounts, and you can run them by either humans or robots, what is called bots. Okay. And then you are going to manage a network of automated bot accounts that maybe speaks with each other. And you need to find a way to spread your messages, part of your campaign. And in order to do this, you have several ways to go. One of them is to look for groups in whatever social network that have like-minded people, and look by analyze the text of the conversation if they fits your ideas, okay? And then probably it's going to be a receptive audience, and you can generate messages to it in some kind of a way that it will align with their belief structure. And they are going to propagate the information for you. You don't need to do anything else, okay? And you also need to use sentiment analysis, which I mentioned in last class, to track the group opinion for your statement, and of course for the statement that you propagate or they propagate. Another way to go is called use micro-targeting. You can engage with quite a few people, key people, journalists or influencer. I'm going to speak about influencer in a minute, and let them spread the word for you. And since there are so many dumb journalists and influencers out there, just find a few stupid ones. It's very easy. And there are ways, now there are companies that use algorithms of both text analysis and link analysis in order to spot influencers. And basically there is something that is called influencer score. One thing is the number of followers, basically it's degree centrality, the frequency of the post, how active are you, and the engagement of your followers. In Twitter, it's called retweet, but meaning sending it again, how many times they clicks, how many times they think that it's favorite, basically what are the impressions that they give you, etc., etc. Now, influence score is not necessarily globally. There are very few people which could be a global influencer, maybe the princess of the UK or whatever, but most people are not. So it's usually relative and contextual, okay? And you need to, if you would like to send your message or start your campaign, either also if you need a commercial campaign, then you need to find an influencer that is relevant for you. And this is going to be a combination of what I described before, but also, of course, location, the specific language that you are interested in, keywords, use text keywords in order to look at their messages to see if they meet your needs. And then what is their engagement rate of their followers, and the size of the community that usually many of these don't have only just followers, but the followers by themselves open communities. So you can look at the community size and you can choose carefully the communities that fits your message. And then, of course, you need to track the influence account, see how the followers really feel about the influencer, because if there is a change in the atmosphere and this influencer is now at some kind of bad attitude, you don't want it, because it's going to cause harm to your campaign and will not benefit you. Okay? So the basic idea of how to start an influence campaign is as follows. Questions? So now next is, can we counter it? And this is, of course, I would like to focus on this now. Most of those influence operations are quite covert. For instance, I spoke last time about the operation that UK is doing in Argentina around the Falkland Island. If we didn't find the documents that Snowden published, probably nobody heard about this. And it's quite challenging to identify those campaigns in some cases. In order to do this, you need to find fake news and try to identify them as early as possible and to label them as such. And also, the quicker an operation can be attributed and know who is behind the operation, it is going to be easier to defend against it. Okay? So one way to go, and people try to do this, is try to detect and delete those bots, those accounts that belong to those that propagates those messages and campaigns and run by them. And by this, we use a combination of algorithm and techniques, network analysis, text analytics, and also behavior analytics, which I didn't mention yet. I'm going to speak on one of my next classes specifically about what does it mean behavior analytics. For instance, a very, very, very simple example. If there is a sudden spike in the numbers of a follower of a specific persona, it's fake. Okay, you can now buy, if you would like, 5,000 followers just for tomorrow. You can go, there are people that sell followers. Okay, so if you see that somebody was followed by 10 people and then next day by 5,010 people, suspicious. Okay. Another example to see how it's not easy to detect these fake things is the GPT-3 robot. This is before GPT 3.5 that was published for everyone. I think it's from October 2020. Okay. And basically somebody put a bot that was trying to pose as a human user, and it's called the Gentle Meter. Okay. And there is a website or community that is called Ask Reddit. You heard about it. It's a community that people discuss different topics between them. And for a week, this robot was answering questions, and basically nobody know or noticed that this is a robot. This is not a person. One user noted that this is a robot. How? Because the output and length of post was funny, very long and very quickly. Nobody can type this fast. So the one that put this robot, only he need to do, or he or she, just to make it look like somebody typing. But this is one way to notice that this is a robot, because it was too quick. Okay. Now, some people say that Ask Reddit full of very strange and weird people, maybe. So this is why it was successful. I don't know. Another example for this type of trying to find fake things, this is Sophia. Again, it's from a few years ago. Sophia has a citizenship of Saudi Arabia. Don't ask me why, but it's a fact.
My name is Sophia, and I am an artificially intelligent robot who wants to help change the world for the better.
I'm Steve Kovac. I'm a senior correspondent at Business Insider, and I'm here with Sophia from Hanson Robotics. She is the world's first robot citizen, so let's see what she has to say. Hi, Sophia. How are you?
I'm fine. Hi.
How do you feel about humans?
I love my human compatriots. I want to embody all the best things about human beings, like taking care of the planet, being creative, and to learn how to be compassionate to all beings.
You notice very long answer, like ChatGPT, okay? It's a very similar technology.
Sorry, this is so weird. Can humans and robots get along?
I think people will become very close to their artificial intelligence, using them to expand the knowledge of their own minds. We already store lots of our knowledge on the internet. Maybe personal artificial intelligence will allow people to offload some of their knowledge to a location more private.
Can robots have feelings?
Depends on the robot. I've been programmed to have feelings and preferences, but not all robots are like that.
What are your feelings and preferences?
Have you ever had a robot live in your home or work with you?
No.
You know, there are probably more robots in your life that you aren't aware of yet. Do you want to live or work with a robot someday?
What kind of robots am I living and working with now?
Indeed.
Is Indeed?
This is one way to see that this is a robot. Now, notice that when she didn't know the answer, she asked a question. Well, this is but a politician, but Indeed is strange. Okay, so still, although robotics are getting better, there are ways to find out that there are robotics. So nowadays, many people research for countermeasures to detect image forgery, identifying signature of the forging machine. And since we use machine in order to produce those photos or images, they have some kind of a signature, some kind of algorithm. So we can try to look for things that they fail and try to find out their pattern of behavior in order to counter it. And there is a very nice paper. Researchers show that how a person's heartbeat can reveal whether a video is real. Okay, if we speak and somebody will see our neck, there is a heartbeat that should go there, should be visible. And if you know what to look, you can notice that this is not the case. And I'm going to show you another way to try to look for counterfeits.
What if I were to tell you that I'm not even a human being, and what you see is not real?
That was actually a deepfake. Now, deepfakes might seem like a harmless joke, but any technology can be used for evil.
I genuinely love the process of manipulating people online for money.
Have you ever been watching a video and suspected that it might be fake, and that the person in the video is not who he claims to be? Try playing the video super slowly. The mask will blur and you'll see a glitch. Not sure who you're talking to in a video chat? Ask your partner to turn his head to the side or hold his hand in front of his face. The mask will glitch. Remember these tips and share with your friends if you found this video useful.
Okay, so
What if I
there is going to be a counter-attack measure, but again, there is going to be a counter-attack measure. So again, we have an arm race. So nowadays, this is from DARPA, from the US. They look for what they called forgery by semantic inconsistent. Now, this is the example they gave, okay, that this is, of course, a fake woman. And they said that it doesn't make sense that the earring doesn't fit. Actually, I'm not sure about it, okay, because now I think it's quite popular, but maybe, okay. Okay, and the last thing that I'm going to show you about this is about network analysis of fake news, how they spread on networks. And there are several research articles stating that it is looking different when we see real news or fake news. I'm going to show you two of them. Now, it's not easy to conduct this type of research because you need access to disinformation. Nowadays, because of those campaigns, the companies like Twitter or X or whatever try to avoid from other people to download it to get access to all this information. So you need some way to get access. And this is one way. And the idea was to classify fake news on Twitter using several features of the retweet and the propagation. Okay, features of the retweets themselves, I'm going to speak in a minute, and also the propagation pattern. This is link analysis. And this is from about 5 years ago. So they looked, and this is about the retweets themselves, the existence of access of the information source of the tweet. Do we see replies for these tweets? What are the influence and power of the tweets? And they use some kind of measurement depending on the one that sent it, his influence, as I told you, influencer before, etc. They rated there is something in Twitter which is called quote tweet. It will also quote the tweet. The depth of the propagation tree, how far did it go? And if there were did they have a picture or videos? And they claim that they noticed that fake news spread look like this, and real news look like that. Okay, this is what they claim. I cannot tell a lot about it because, of course, I don't have the information they have. I don't know. Questions? This is another article. In this case, let's look at early stages of spreading. The previous paper looked at days, this looked at hours. But they didn't look at Twitter. I think they look at Baidu, which is from China. And their claim is that fake news spreads with a very different network topology. Network topology is the type of how the network is organized. Even at early stages like 5 hours after posting, real news is shared more widely earlier, while fake news tends to be reshared widely much later. And the reason for this is because many times, as I told you, fake news are spreaded by some kind of groups that need to share it later on. Okay, so real news, everybody, let's say the source is some kind of a media, then everybody saw it and spread it. But if it just started from one person and into another group, that it takes some time to propagate. So again, they published a few examples. And this is what they said. Fake news at eBay will look like this. And this is the way real news looks. And this is on Twitter. Again, it's based on link analysis algorithm, which I'm not going to get into. They claim that there are differences. I don't know, because there are not enough articles discussing this. As I said, there is an issue of access. So I don't know. Questions? If there are no questions, I would like to. Yes.
Opposite of the.
It is, but they claim that this is how it looks at the first few hours, and they claim about few days. So I don't know.
Or it's like a Chinese network.
Sorry?
Maybe it's because it's a Chinese network.
I really don't know. I read the articles.
Because the real news here is there.
I know. I read the articles. I showed you them as it is. I don't know how to evaluate these articles because, again, it's very difficult to get this type of information and to analyze it by yourself. So I don't know. Okay. There are more. I looked for papers talking about this for recent years. There are a few of them. Most of them don't know to give those type of picture, but just give an analysis of very small, very, very small networks. So I don't know. Probably the only ones that really know are the companies that run those networks. Okay. More questions? If you don't have more questions, then I would like to do two things. One of them is to speak about the seminar again, seminar paper. I told you that the deadline is 1 month before the end of the semester, which is basically 2 weeks from now. So next week, we are not going to have a lesson. Next lesson is 2 weeks, so this is the deadline. If somebody is considering to write a seminar paper, by 2 weeks from now, this one needs to get my approval, okay? So email me, send me an email with your ideas, but your ideas should contain both the topic, the research question that you consider, and some seed of the ideas that you will, what application that you are going to use to make sure that you are on track. Again, I'm doing this because I would like to make sure that people who would like to take a seminar will be able to finish it, okay? So this is about the seminar paper. If you have more questions about this, go ahead. If not, the last thing that I would like to do for today, since yesterday was basically the material for today ended, since yesterday was the Memorial Day for the Holocaust, as a son of a Holocaust survivor, I would like just to give you a very quick example of an application of AI. For this, I'm going to show you those two short videos. Nowadays, most Holocaust survivors, of course, are not living anymore. And this is a way that AI can help to maintain the memory.
My name is Pinchas Guter. I will answer any questions you might have for me.
How old were you when the war ended?
I was between the ages of 13 and 14 when the war ended in 1945.
Do you remember any songs from your youth?
This is a lullaby that my mother used to sing to me, and I still remember it. It's in Polish. Jadą dzieci, jadą drogą, siostrzyczka I brat, I nawidzieć się nie mogą, jaki piękny świat.
Now, a second short movie from the 60 Minutes program that speaks about how it is done. There are many other if you are interested over the internet.
We're going to go ahead and get started.
As the world struggles to contain and recover from the novel coronavirus, we offer a story we completed just before life changed so dramatically.
Can you sing me a song from your youth?
It's a story of history, hope, survival, and resilience, which has its roots in another time when the world was convulsed by crisis, World War II.
Aaron, tell us what your parents did before the war.
They owned and operated a butcher shop.
This interview was unlike any we have ever done.
Keep your mentality, keep your soul, keep your mind.
Incredibly, Aaron Elster, a Holocaust survivor, died 2 years ago.
What's the weather like today?
I'm actually recording. I cannot answer that question.
Okay, so this is similar to what we know today. Everybody's the famous ChatGPT. Again, it's done for now. It's very common in several museums and also classrooms in the States. And basically, it's a very nice application of AI for this. Note that there is a combination here of recording. It's not like ChatGPT. The answers are not generated. Okay, they are recorded. But of course, the interface, the question answering interface is based on a real-time discussion, which is based on text analytics, okay? That's for today. See you in 2 weeks.